welcome to a new episode. This is an episode Las Platicas. Kristen, take it away.
Yes, welcome to Las Platicas, which is a show hosted by Comadres y Comics, where we meet with creators and friends to talk about upcoming projects, events, and all-around awesome news in the comic community. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with guest Madeleine Holly-Rosing. Madeleine is a dynamic storyteller and award-winning author, having written for TV, feature film, and comics. She's the winner of the Sloan Fellowship for screenwriting and the Gold Aurora and Bronze Telly for a PSA produced by Women in Film. Madeleine is also a very successful crowdfunder, having run multiple crowdfunding campaigns for her comic, Boston Metaphysical Society. With all of her garnered knowledge, she published the book Kickstarter for the Independent Creator. And today, Madeleine is with us to discuss her next Kickstarter endeavor, a campaign for Boston Metaphysical Society, Volume 2, Special Edition Hardback. Welcome, Madeleine. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I've actually been looking forward to this because I think earlier this year there was a catastrophe with one of me.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah,
I told them, I'm so glad we have this opportunity because we had to cancel on her earlier when your house burned down, Sarah. And I'm over exaggerating. It didn't burn down, but it was a pretty traumatic fire that happened in her house.
No, as excuses go, that's totally valid. No problem whatsoever. Your house and your life and everybody that's far more important than an interview. I was just going, when Kristen told me, it's like, her house burned down. I was like, what? Is everybody okay? And it sounds like fortunately everybody was, but it's a traumatic thing. Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, I am recording this interview right now, right below where the fire happened in the ceiling. So, so we're better now. Yes.
There we go. Glad to hear that.
Yes. So I was so happy when you reached out again for this other opportunity that we were able to make it happen. And I'm also very excited to hear all about this particular Kickstarter. I read about the hardcover and all of the cool stuff where you sent the link for the Kickstarter. So I want to give you the opportunity to share a bit about what has inspired you. Let's go all the way back to Volume 1. What inspired you to create the Boston Metaphysical Society series?
Well, to start, for those in your audience who've never heard of Boston Metaphysical Society, the short pitch is it's about an ex-Pinkerton detective, a spirit photographer, and a genius scientist who battles supernatural forces in late 1800s Boston. We started with the 6-issue miniseries, Volume 1, and all of this, the whole universe came about originally as a TV pilot that I wrote when I was at UCLA Film School, in the MFA program. And what kind of inspired that is that I really love history and I love science fiction, and blending that together kind of came up with what eventually became Boston Metaphysical Society. It was originally a straight period piece detective show called 1900 Detective Agency, until a friend of mine suggested that I redevelop it in a steampunk world. And at the time I'd heard of steampunk, didn't know a lot about it, did my research and completely agreed with him. So I redeveloped it and then sat down and just really thought hard about the name, because I wanted the name to evoke the time period and also the genre and all of that, and came up with Boston Metaphysical Society, which, I could have killed myself at the time because the URL on that, you type that out on the computer is like crazy, but it fits. And so here we are.
And how long ago was that? Well, see, it didn't get Madeleine.
That was like 20 years ago.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So this idea has been around for a long time. And the initial idea was because a friend of mine, it was shopped around, had some good feedback, but this was before, steampunk and all of that was popular, and, period pieces are expensive to make. And at the time, the CGI was just not what it is today.
Right.
A lot of the stuff you can just put in the background and it looks and feels real, which, 20 years ago wasn't happening.
Yeah.
But then a funny thing happened is that, they said, okay, do this graphic novel, and then you can take it and resell it back to Hollywood, because, none of the execs actually like to read, but you give them pretty pictures and it,
right.
it makes it a little easier. But
storyboarded already.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, sort of kind of storyboarded, but it makes it easier for them to digest. I then discovered that I really liked writing comics, and I love being part of the independent creator community. And so I stayed. And as we started doing better and better on Kickstarter, it was like, I guess we might actually have a thing here.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just been growing, a bit, bit by bit every year. And so now, even though I've branched out into prose and audio drama and other things, the graphic novels are what makes the engine run.
Right.
Very
So
cool.
You moved into volume 2. This is the hardcover of everything that you have successfully collected in volume 2. What are some of the themes that you explore with this next iteration of your story?
Volume 2 compiles our 4 standalone sequels: Scourge the Mechanical Man, Spirit of Rebellion, Ghosts and Demons, and the Book of Demons. And all of them, at some point, including the first volume, I always deal with racism, classism, and sexism at some level. And I don't do it by hammering people over the head. I do it by how these characters deal with it in their lives organically. And one of the things that inspired the Spirit of Rebellion was the idea of consequences. Is Caitlin, if you read the first volume, went behind her mother's back, started working for Samuel in Granville, and there was a price to be paid for that. And so we see the result of that in one of the sequels. And how that and how the effect of battling the shifter also affected her. So you see the growth of all the characters, of everything they went through from volume 1 reflected in the 4 sequels that are in volume 2. Now, I have done a volume 2 trade paperback prior. It was a few years ago. But because I did a hardback version of volume 1 earlier this year, people going like, hello?
Yes. It has to match on my bookshelf.
Yes, it's match on my bookshelf. So I went ahead and said, okay, I'll go ahead and do that. We added pinup art that most people have probably never seen before.
Oh, nice.
And a new 10-page story with art by Claudia Balboni that features Caitlin and Alma Bryant, our newest team member. She's an African-American woman who professionally she's an accountant, but on the side she's an amateur scientist and inventor. So she and Granville get along well.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it's interesting to see, the two dynamics between Caitlin and Alma, because Caitlin is very much, hard on her sleeve. She doesn't hide a whole lot.
Right.
And Alma comes from the very, scientific method. It's like, okay, you may have these psychic abilities and telekinetic abilities, but we need data. We need to sit down and map all this out and practice and learn how you can do this better. And so they, they're back and forth, and they've become, very good friends over the course of the series.
So I just want to tell the listeners that what Madeleine said about not hammering you over the head with all of those themes is absolutely true. In reading volume 1, I think all the groundwork for the sexism and racism and classism in the story was laid, and something that I picked up when I was reading it, where Caitlin's being told, I know you don't want to harm, or she's being told no, she can't take this job, which she knows she's very capable of, and she says it's because I'm a woman, and it's denied. But of course, back in the day, we probably know that that's the case. And then she's speaking with, I forgot his name, but the black man who is
Granville.
Yeah. And so there's some talk there. And when she curtsies to him, he picks up on it immediately and is like, I've never had a woman, a lady curtsy to me that way. And she is like, well, I'm not a lady. I'm, from where I'm from. And so all those things were very subtly put in, but very too poignantly part of the story, if that makes sense. So I really appreciated that from what I've read so far.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite scenes that I wrote between Caitlin and Granville, because that pretty much that defines their relationship and their respect for one another.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely, I got that.
And and in case you don't know, Granville T. Woods is a historical figure. He actually lived during the time period, the same time period of Tesla and Edison. I found him in my research and dug him up. He's originally from Ohio, but I brought him to Boston because I'm the writer. I can do that.
It's science fiction anyways.
Yeah. It's alternate history. So yeah, you can do that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And a fun story real story about him. He sued Edison for stealing some of his patents, because we all know, Edison didn't do it.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is Granville won.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. And we still don't know who that. I still didn't know that name. That's horrible.
No, most people don't. He's kind of gotten lost in American history, like I don't know, most women and people of color. So that's no surprise.
Yeah.
And I love research, and when I originally wrote this as a TV pilot, I didn't want a lily white cast because, well, boring.
Yeah.
And it's not representative of America. The United States wouldn't exist without women and people of color.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely,
it's a fact.
Yeah. Well, I loved reading the first issues. I saw the little things, and I noticed your attention to detail, because when I believe the Pinkerton character met with Houdini inside the carriage, and he said, just have the driver keep driving. And what he did is he knocked on the door, and that's what they did. I see that in period movies all the time. They don't even tell them; they just knock, and they know that they have to move on. And I saw those little things, and then also when I forgot the female character's name. I'm so sorry, Caitlin, how she was like, he was like, I'm gonna give you a ride, and she's like, no, because it's gonna look bad. Because back in those days, if they saw a single woman with a man, it was frowned upon. So I just love those little attention to details for the times. I thought those were so amazing. Your attention to detail is amazing. And then those little Easter eggs about, like, people of color and women. I really love that. Wanted to ask, what can backers expect from the special edition hardback that sets it apart from the previous editions?
Like I mentioned before, it has a brand new 10-page story called The Ghost Collector. It's Alma and Caitlin's sort of like first mini adventure case together. And actually, as I was writing it, it set me kind of off on another path. So I may actually write a novella fleshing out that
Oh, wow.
whole story, because I kind of like this. This is interesting. This may go somewhere that I hadn't expected it to. But it has a particular element in it. The owl. I don't want to give it away. Spoiler alert. But if things go well, there's going to be a very fun mid-campaign reveal.
Oh,
And I don't want to ruin it.
Yes,
love
don't
it.
ruin it.
Yes.
I don't want to ruin it. That's tied into the story of the Ghost Collector.
Okay.
And also, like I mentioned before, there's the new pinup art. That people haven't seen. Some people have seen some of it, but others, I'm sure they haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a new metal bookmark. It's an Art Deco style owl copper finished metal bookmark. That's going to be exclusive to this campaign. And then just, I mean, those are the main things. Other than in the first 3 days, we have 3 early birds that are going to be real deal. So people need to jump on it as soon as we launch. Get on the notify button. I'm not sure when this show is going to drop, but yeah, we do launch October 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
wow.
you want to get on it ASAP, and it's for the early birds will obviously for the hardback plus a PDF, hardback plus the owl bookmark, and also for those who are missing volume 1, you can get both volumes in hardback at a discount as well.
Oh,
Ooh.
awesome.
Amazing.
Very awesome. So, in just all these rewards and everything, are you guys planning on aiming for any stretch goals?
Oh yeah, I always have stretch goals in my brain. And I have them. Yes, I have them written down. They're all mapped out. I generally don't post them until we reached our goal. It's just something
Okay.
that I do.
Mhm.
I know some people like to do it ahead of time.
Mhm.
I don't. That's just something peculiar to me.
Yeah. You're like,
But,
I'm gonna
like-
wait until we exceed expectations, and I'm gonna post up oh, we did it. That's really, really
Okay,
cool.
it's like let's make our goal. Let's one step at a time. Let's make the goal,
Right.
Yeah.
and then we're gonna start adding on all the goodies.
Very cool. So Kickstarter campaigns can be quite the undertaking. And I saw on your website, you've done quite a few of them. What do you attribute your track record of immensely successful campaigns to?
Failing the first time.
Interesting.
I like that.
Mhm.
The very first one we did, I think we had the first 3 issues done. We had a self-funded. And so we went to Kickstarter, which was pretty new. This is like 2013, 2014.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I had also started as a webcomic. I was posting, weekly new pages. And with the amount of people who were viewing on the website, I thought I'd be able to, if at least even 25% of those, I'd be able to get probably pretty close, halfway to our goal, and the rest on Kickstarter, because I was looking to do the full trade of a $25,000 goal that would finish off production for the last 3 issues and then do the big, beautiful trade, which is actually how much it would have cost. But no one knew us from anything. I didn't have an email list. I didn't understand any of that. What we did find out was, even though no one knew us from anything, we still managed to get over 200 backers and come in, I think, at over $7,000. So what that told us is that, okay, let's scale back. We know we can make this amount of money. We know we can get these amount of backers. So let's focus on that, and then scale back to just do it an issue at a time. And so I canceled towards the end, let everybody know, gave them a link, had people sign up for our newsletter. And that was the start of the email list. And then about 2.5 months later, we relaunched for just to print issue 3, like a $3,000, print run. And we made that in like 24 hours.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That is, yeah, that's incredible.
I think we ended up making like $8,000 for that campaign. And so it matched to the historical data. And so we started building on the data that we had of what could and couldn't be done.
That's really great. Like keeping track of those records, and one, like even like acknowledging the fact that, because I see a lot of Kickstarters that have very ambitious goals, and maybe they don't have a lot of history, and then it doesn't get funded, and then they give up. They're like, okay, then like we didn't meet our goal. We're giving up. We're not going to do this anymore. Like, we're not going to try to continue doing this. Like, goodbye. We're no longer see them on the face of the earth. But the fact that you were able to learn from this Kickstarter, the first attempted Kickstarter, and then be like, okay, there is interest here. This is something that we can do. We just need to scale back our perception of what we can achieve right now.
Yeah. And that was fine. And then, gradually building the email list, and at cons, having the email list, people to sign up on the table, and then building from that. And then over the years, I'm not like Tyler James, who's like amazing and getting these massive email lists, but and more power to him. But, the thing is, now when I launch, we usually fund within, the volume 1 hardback had a $10,000 goal, and we funded in 12 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Oh, you guys get that Kickstarter projects we love sticker, don't you?
Sometimes we do. Yeah. Sometimes we do. But you have to understand, it's great to have a project we love. I mean, who doesn't? We all love that. It's wonderful. It makes you feel good. But it's not going to determine whether you fund or not. It might be a little helpful, and it's certainly bragging rights. But you do have to have all your other ducks in order to make it happen.
Love it.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, one of the things that always has stuck out to me in seeing you at conventions on panels is that you often seem to be the only woman on the panel amongst other men. And one time you were on a panel that I actually moderated, and I think they only asked me to moderate so that there was another woman on the stage.
I didn't want to say anything. I suspected as much. Yeah.
But as a woman in the comic book industry, which, as we all know, is still very heavily dominated, do you think that you approach writing comics or even your Kickstarter campaigns in a different way at all, being a woman?
Well, Kickstarter campaigns, no.
Okay.
No. The book I wrote, Kickstarter for the Independent Creator, I mean, those strategies in there work for anybody. And I still follow those basic strategies. I will say that the edition that's out now with the green cover, the strategies are still absolutely sound, but I haven't updated it in a while. So the references to Kickstarter are a little behind the times, because Kickstarter is an ever evolving platform.
Yes.
And there's lots of new stuff, particularly in the last year and a half. They've changed a lot of things for the better. But no, basic strategies remain the same. It doesn't matter who you are. As far as writing comics, absolutely. Because I don't do TNA.
Right.
I don't do erotica, so there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your jibe, That's your jibe. That's
Mhm.
totally fine.
Mhm.
I have actually had both men and women come to my table and say, wow, all your characters have their clothes on. What's it about?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, especially in the comic scene, like especially in the indie, like people have interesting things out.
Yes, interesting things. And it has a market and it has its
Yes.
place.
Sure.
And that's totally fine. But that's not what I'm going to write.
Mhm.
Right.
It just isn't. It is going to come from a female point of view. And even in the audio drama, The Ghost Ship, that is, even though you have Samuel, Caitlin, and Granville, who, they're the primary characters, there are certain things there that are very much from the female gaze or the female point of view, particularly when one of the characters asks Samuel if Caitlin can do something. And Samuel's response is, don't ask me, ask her.
Oh, like it.
Yeah. And so, it's about consent and him not being her owner.
Right.
And, their relationship does change over the years, but it's a matter of respect, that he respects her and that Granville respects her, and the three of them respect each other, because I see them as essentially my Kirk, Spock, and McCoy.
Oh, I love that.
They're different from each other. They each have their own strengths. They each have their own weaknesses. But when they come together, they are stronger because of their differences.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
That's kind of the point.
I love it. I know you talked about like engaging with your email lists and everything like that, and how you are working on those numbers and those strategies. How else do you engage with your community of readers and backers during the campaigns?
I do use a thing on BackerKit called Launch. It's very affordable. It's like $99. And what BackerKit does is pull the emails from every campaign on Kickstarter or whatever crowdfunding platform you use into a central, thing. And that way you can email through BackerKit all of your former backers at once and let them know.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And that's
Okay.
a very, very useful tool. I mean, I've already used it to let people, to sign up to be notified that we're going to launch. And I did that like a couple weeks ago. And obviously I'll do another one when we launch. I don't like to inundate people with email. I just don't like it personally.
Yeah.
I will call and, I will not call, but I'll send out emails a few times during the month, but I'm not going to do it daily or even every other day. Because I don't know. That's just me. I know some people will disagree, and that's fine.
Do you use any other social media platforms to engage the audience to your Kickstarter?
Yeah, I use Facebook. I don't use X, formerly it's Twitter.
Right.
Yeah. We still call it Twitter.
Yeah.
I still call it Twitter. I mean, I do use that. I have joined Blue Sky and Threads. I'm starting to use them more. Instagram to a limited. Instagram for me, that's more of like a fun thing where I post like, "Hey, I made cookies," kind of thing. But yeah, it's for me right now. It's primarily on social media. It's Facebook and Twitter, and building more on Threads and Blue Sky. I know Blue Sky and Threads are just for the comic community. It's right now. It's just a generally happier place to be
Yeah.
without getting trolled or just seeing annoying posts.
Yeah.
Right.
No, for sure. So were there any unique challenges that you faced in the creative process for Volume 2? And how did you overcome them?
Well, right now I'm kind of having a little back and forth with Boker identifiers for ISBNs
Oh.
because I have to contact them. Again, I actually need an ISBN for the book because it's going to be published in 2025, but you can't get them for 2025. You can't fill in the form, and then I filled out the form and I didn't hit submit, but they saved it anyway. So now it says 2020. It's a stupid bureaucratic thing that will be taken care of.
Yeah.
But, but
Why did it
otherwise,
never occur to me ISBN numbers was a whole application process?
yeah, yeah,
They just
no, it is
automatically
and
appear.
That's what I always presumed.
no, this hardback has actually been easier because in volume 1, my artist for the new 10-pager I did in that was delayed significantly, and so everything got delayed like by months, and so that was a thing. Pre-press it just ripples down. This time it's done. It's lettered. My pre-press guy is going to start on it, I think, tomorrow. So
nice.
he'll be into it before we even launch. So yay for that. And so no, this one's going a lot more smoothly because people got their work done on time.
That makes
That's what I
total
always
sense.
hear about like collaborations and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. And they always say find someone who is punctual. Like
Or close to it.
yeah, or close to it.
Close, it doesn't have to be perfect, but close enough is good enough. Because I totally understand that, life happens. So if someone says like, oh my God, I'm like really sick. Can I do this next week? And we're like, yeah, yes, of course. It's fine. I may not be happy, but yeah, it's like, no, go be well. We'll get it done.
Yeah.
We often hear of people who are trying to coordinate anthologies that it's like wrangling cats.
Oh, I have so much sympathy for someone wrangling a anthology. And in fact, I always, whenever I'm asked to do an anthology and I agree to do it, I usually just sit down and just do it. I just get it written and done and out the door. So they have it and
Yeah.
it's ready to go whenever they're ready to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I actually did one, and hopefully it's with Travis Gibb. He's going to do, what is it? The Spirits one? It's like
Ooh. For Halloween?
yeah, it's like the something Spirits Monster Edition.
Oh, wow.
And I did a Medusa story.
Oh,
Ooh.
nice.
And so I gave it to him like 5 months ago, but I know
wow.
he's not even going to deal with it till October.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I'm done. It's off my plate. If he has if he wants me to do any editing, all he needs to do is let me know and I'll take care of it.
Mhm.
But it's fine. No, that was a lot of fun. I hope that happens.
That sounds really cool.
Oh, it's called
Yeah.
Holiday Spirits Monster Edition.
Oh,
Nice.
nice. Okay.
Nice.
We'll have
Yeah.
to keep that on our radar.
Yes.
So we do have a segment on our podcast called Chisme de la Semana, that means gossip of the week. You already kind of have shared a little bit of tidbits of little chisme of your volume 2 coming out, but is there any other exciting sneak peeks or exclusive content that backers can look forward to that you're willing to share?
Not yet.
She's
Keeping it mum for now.
But just to highlight, you did mention there's a brand new 10-page story, and
Correct.
there are pinups
Pinup art.
that have never been seen possibly before by
Yeah.
by the naked eye. So those are two great, cool things, I think, for people who are already fans of the series that they can look forward to? I know oftentimes some people want to support a project, but they're like, I'm such a fan, I own all of this already. So being able to get exclusive content in a hardcover like this, I think is really enticing for your fans. So that's really cool.
Mhm.
I'm actually looking forward to
volume.
that. I'm so sorry, that metal bookmark of the owl.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Alejandro Lee designed it for me. In fact, Alejandro has been designing all of my metal bookmarks now for a number of years. He does a terrific job. I don't think I'd use anybody else at this point because I just say like, hey, I have another thing. When can we work on this? And he's like, okay. And then we go do it. And he does a wonderful job.
Awesome.
So
that's so cool. Oh, what do you hope readers will take away from Volume 2? And what are your plans for the Boston Metaphysical Society moving forward?
Well, we're halfway through Pikes Peak, Mystery at Pikes Peak, which is our new series. We have 1 and 2 out, and I have trying how to say this because it hasn't been announced yet. Let's say we're working on it.
Okay.
Got it.
There'll be an announcement in. Actually, when this Kickstarter is over in November, I will have an announcement about Pikes Peak.
Nice.
In production. Got it.
You? Oh, sorry. Before we move on, are you continuing to? I know that your volume 1 was published. Was it Source Point?
Yeah. Obviously, I originally self-published it.
Right.
Source Point picked it up. The original 6 issues, and then they did a trade, new cover by Roberta Ingranata, and then they published the 4 standalone sequels, but not the combination, not the volume 2.
Okay. And are you going to continue to work with Source Point moving forward?
It kind of depends on what they want to do.
Okay.
I know they've been going through some changes. And
all of the smaller indie publishing companies seem to be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, no, I love them. Travis is great. But yeah, I mean, I think they've been doing some restructuring. That's fine. I continue forward, they continue forward, and if we meet up again, that's great.
Cool. Okay.
So we have another segment called Juntos y Fuertes. It is a segment of Comadres y Comics where we show love and support for members of marginalized groups within the comic community. Is there any creator property you would like to share with us and our listeners?
Sure. Actually, it's on Kickstarter right now. It's called Young Grandmaster Choi by Shakita Green.
I'm excited.
She's doing issue 2, and it's absolutely adorable. It's an all ages comic. Features a young African American girl and a Korean girl in Korea, and I guess they kind of like are at each other at first, and are going to grow and learn to be friends. So it's very charming.
Looks so cute. The artwork that I've seen is so cute.
Yeah.
And Sarah, you're already excited for it too.
Lots of good story, lots of good messages, very positive themes throughout of it. And probably the other one, I don't think he's on Kickstarter now. Arthur, and I'm probably going to destroy his last name, Ebuen, Ebuen. He does California Ink. He's a Filipino-American gentleman. And I'm petting my dog here who's running here. And
I thought this whole time you were just wearing lots of bracelets.
No, that's Bishop. That's Bishop. He's waiting for dinner.
Oh,
He'll
yeah.
run out when he hears the microwave. He does one called California Ink. It's a sci-fi dystopian where our country is divided up into corporations.
Oh.
And
Interesting.
We'd seen each other on Kickstarter, and I loved the art and it looked interesting. And then I rolled into Comic-Con Revolution in Ontario, and who's my next door neighbor but Arthur.
Oh.
And I'm going like, I know you. And he's like, wait a minute, I know you. And so, yeah, we started talking, and yeah, he's doing a great job, and I'm sure he'll be back on Kickstarter at some point.
Very cool.
Those sound awesome. Well, Madeleine, we really appreciate you taking the time for sitting down with us and talking about your Kickstarter. And I think that you have really garnered our love here for your book. When we were chatting about it before you came on, we were talking about just all the cool stuff that we read and how we really enjoyed it. And really look forward actually to this volume 2 and all the cool perks and amazing bookmarks that we're going to be able to have access to. Is there anything else before we go that you would like to share regarding Boston Metaphysical Society as a whole, or about this Kickstarter campaign coming up? And then also, where can the listeners find more information about your campaign or just your other works in general? And are there any appearances that you're going to be having soon where people can come and meet you and buy things in person?
Okay. Well, first, I want to give a big shout out to Gwen Tavares, who was the artist and colorist for the 4 sequels that are in Volume 2.
Yay.
She is a marvelous human who I would hire again at a drop of a hat. She is very busy with 2 children under the age of 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she's actually doing a variant cover for me for Pikes Peak, so she can sneak in a few things.
Oh, cool.
But yes, I think the world of her, and I'd love to have her back. But, you know, she's busy. And what else? You can find us either at our website, bostonmetaphysicalsociety.com, Facebook, Boston Metaphysical Society. I mean, you can type in Google Boston Metaphysical Society, and it's all going to come up. I'm on Instagram as MC Holly1, Twitter as M Holly-Rosing. But like I said, you do that. If you go to the website or to Facebook, you'll be able to find links to be notified when we launch on October 2nd. You can also just run all over to Kickstarter and pop in the name, and it'll come right up. I think that's it.
Awesome. That is so cool.
Right.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And everybody, listeners, you guys know where to find us. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter sometimes, maybe not so much. But we have some TikToks out there, and definitely on Instagram. We have been your hosts. I'm Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
And I'm Madeleine. And be sure to like and subscribe.
Yay! Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's on Period Network.